harsh.
Whoa. Hello, I'm Giovanni Hallhart, and today I'm just going to do some quick drawing and sketching. Just get into it while I'm watching a podcast. Alright, let's go.
Yu-Gi-Oh! As a franchise had such humble beginnings, starting off as a manga series that didn't specifically focus on the main card game the series would be known for, to now having so many generations and iterations of the anime, the card game itself, video games, and more. I made a whole series detailing a bunch of the early years, covering everything that involved Yugi, essentially covering 5 seasons of the anime. Today, we are going to continue forward into the next generation of Yu-Gi-Oh!, switching to a cast of new main characters as well as a whole new location. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX was an exciting moment for Yu-Gi-Oh! In general because it was completely rejuvenating all aspects of the franchise. It would be sad saying goodbye to Yugi, but we are going to be heading out to a dueling academy, and with this, a whole bunch of new cards to see in the show as well as collect and duel with in real life. Today we start our journey into exploring the lore of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. We shall be going through the seasons, learning about the characters, understanding the narrative, and more. And speaking of that, this will be a 3-part series. Each part can be viewed standalone, but will all come together like pieces of the Millennium Puzzle. With Yu-Gi-Oh! Becoming such a massive phenomenon all around the world, it was only inevitable that the franchise as a whole was going to be expanded on. Similar to how Pokemon and Digimon would move on to their own next generations of their property, it was time for Yu-Gi-Oh! To do the same, with us saying a proper goodbye to the original characters and their story, and to move forward in time where there is now a school called Duel Academy that was built on a small island by Seto Kaiba, an educational establishment solely dedicated to teaching young duelists to hone their skills in the game and become some of the best duelists out there. So much like the last series I made going through the OG Yu-Gi-Oh! Seasons, today we are going to deep dive the story, explore the lore, and more of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
Oh, excuse me.
So why was Yu-Gi-Oh! GX created? Simple. Just because the story was over for our main characters in the anime and manga, that doesn't mean the card game needs to stop, and the best way to continue to put out new sets and show them off properly is by having a cartoon to go with it. With this opportunity and going with the trend of the term next generation, we get the title of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, with the GX standing for Generation Next. See, it's not the next generation, it's the generation next. It literally means the same thing. Nihon Ad Systems and TV Tokyo would produce this new series, having it based on no source material with Studio Gallop animating it. Then continuing their deals with 4Kids Entertainment to license the series and translate it to English. Just like that, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is back, and you could see the series on Cartoon Network. And it was truly super exciting to see what this new Yu-Gi-Oh! Series was going to be all about and how it differs from the original. What didn't differ is, of course, 4Kids Entertainment's editing and adapting. While the usual stuff you'd expect to be edited and changed, like violence or certain references not suitable for the audience it was being presented to, they ended up changing, tweaking, or downright getting rid of some plot points for whatever reason that they had in the series. There are several moments that I'll bring up here and there throughout talking about the whole show that are pretty interesting for their differences between both versions. Outside of that, the series would first premiere in Japan in early October of 2004, with the 4Kids English dub not hitting TV screens in the US until early October of 2005. With Yu-Gi-Oh! GX now celebrating its 20th anniversary, revisiting the series and exploring all it has to offer seemed like a very fun thing to do. It was also cool to see an announcement for the anniversary that they were going to do a remastering of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, but since that has recently started, it seems fans aren't too happy with it. Aside from it being region locked to Japan, it looks like the remastering is more so just cropping in the 4:3 look into a 16:9 aspect ratio. So what that looks like is if I take the footage here and just zoom in to about here, and boom! Remastered. So if that honestly is the case for the whole remaster, that's definitely disappointing. While I do hope that there will be more for the 20th anniversary, I will still be celebrating my own way by going through the series with all of you. Plus, I will be going into other aspects of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, like in part 2, we will be talking about the manga for the series and how it is completely different from the show, and in part 3, we will be talking beyond Season 3 as Season 4, and even the last technical episode of Season 3, were never translated and released outside of Japan. So there's the real ending to the series series that we will be discussing that never got to air in English. Now, with all of that being said, it's time to get into all that Yu-Gi-Oh's second generation of stories had to offer. But much like Jaden in the first episode, you don't want to be late to school.
Next, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
You're watching Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
After having
Alright,
so much
we're
time
gonna
with
start
Yugi
sketching.
Moto, Atem, and all of Yugi's friends, we get to the first episode that starts a new generation of Yu-Gi-Oh!, passing on the King of Games title both metaphorically and literally with the episode titled The Next King of Games, or even more literal with the Japanese title being The One Who Succeeds Yugi. But in this inaugural episode of the series, we get to meet our new main protagonist, Jaden Yuki, as he is running through the city to try and make it in time for his entrance exam into Duel Academy, that he is already late for. That's when he runs into none other than Yugi Moto, who is treated as this godlike figure here. We don't see above his nose, he has Atem's voice, and for some reason hands Jaden a special card that he believes has a calling to be with him before he walks away, and rightfully giving Jaden a thumbs up. Literally, he passed the baton here. But man, why you gotta do us like that? Now I'm crying all over again from him doing the thumbs up thing that he did at the end of the Millennium World arc and whatever. Aside from how meaningful
thanks
this
for
can
likes,
come off for
Joshua.
those who were so connected
Yes,
with
I'm
the
drawing
original
again.
series of Yu-Gi-Oh! It was a big moment to establish
Yes,
that
I'm
GX
drawing again.
isn't
Sorry
a
about that.
replacement to the OG series. Rather, it's a new story set within the same world, and that it's okay
Just
to
setting
follow
up.
this new story. The card given to Jaden from Yugi
Quick one
was
today.
Winged
Gonna do some
Kuriboh, a
sketching.
creature that I personally love a lot, including like when we get to see cards like Winged
I had my
Kuriboh
fill of
level
Nintendo
10, as
Switch
I have
and Mario.
memories of pulling the ultra rare version of that card from Cybernetic Revolution myself at my
That's a good
first
question.
ever
Why am I
card
drawing
set
today?
pre-release for
Right
any
now, I
card
could do
game.
some
Anyway,
warm-up
before I
sketches.
tangent on into my own nostalgia of that, this regular Winged Kuriboh
It'll basically
card
be
engine
like
seemingly
posing
speaking to
and
Jaden,
stuff.
catching him off guard
Just gotta
before
find
he
my
realizes
brush
he's
here.
still late and needs to keep it moving. From
Oh,
the
you
music
don't
to the
draw for 1
frantic
week,
nature
you
of our
forget
new main
everything.
character, they set up the feeling of a coming-of-age school student.
Basically,
based
we're
series
doing, like,
very well.
sketching
Even
and
if he
posing.
just spoke to the King of Games,
Just to
it matters
warm
that
up.
he can't be the next King of Games if he's late to said games. At least that is what's
But
said
I
in
think
the
I wanna
English
do some
version of the
fan art
series.
for,
We always need more plainly
maybe
stated added
Street
context
Fighter
because we can't
or
pick up
Mario.
on implied subtlety. You know, just USA things. As we arrive at this testing ground for battles taking
Thanks for the likes,
place, we get a
appreciate
good
that.
look at some of the top duelists
We
and
do
those
some quick
wanting to get
posing,
in by passing
rough
their
posing.
entrance exam of winning their duels in order to get accepted into Duel Academy.
If I can
With
get
Jaden
my-
here
yeah, there we
squeaking
go.
in at the last second as to not be turned away from his chance to be accepted.
Right
into
now,
the
I'm
school.
missing
Here we
my-
meet Cyrus Truesdale,
my
a smaller in
sleeve
size
or my
duelist
glove.
who we see end up winning their duel,
Right now,
but
it's
who
kinda
is
far in my
nervous and
room.
filled with anxiety over
And
being watched, and in the presence of all
my
the students from the school already,
arms,
who
like,
decided
kinda
to come and watch
not
the potential
sticky.
new students duel.
It's like
During this overview
the
of the duels,
moisture
we get
from
to
the
see,
sweat.
as
It's
well
like
as
sticking
quickly
through
meet a
glass
bunch of
on my
important
screen.
characters like Chaz Princeton, the snooty student
Trying
who
to
thinks
find
little
my
of these duelists, as we
glove.
see his two goons with him who have the funniest exaggerated voices ever.
That guy's
Ooh,
pretty
boy.
good, don't you think, Chaz?
Chaz? Huh?
And look, say what you want about the dub here, but there's a weird and nostalgic charm to it all that I do personally enjoy. This is how I grew up watching the series, and the voices only
I
get
wish they do some
crazier and
poses.
funnier and weirder from
Take
here.
that.
It's a
You want it.
Yu-Gi-Oh cartoon. It can sound a bit cheesy if it wants to, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Just have a good time. We all, of course, get glimpses of key characters like Alexis Rhodes and Zane Truesdale, Cyrus's older brother, but they'll all come into play soon enough. We also get to witness who seems like an upcoming prodigy win and gain entry into Duel Academy, Bastion Masawa. While Cyrus is still a nervous wreck despite passing everything and winning his duel, Jaden seems excited and optimistic, treating everything that Cyrus is nervous
Man, I'm
about
so
as
rusty.
no sweat and more so exciting to Jaden to tackle and face head on. We also get to meet the head professor of the school who is overseeing the dueling exams
We'd have to
directly,
do, like, a
Dr.
week
Crowler,
apart
and you
studying.
better remember to call him Doctor, or he'll
get
surely
back
remind you that there
to
is
the
a
flow.
reason he's called Doctor, and it shall be respected. I didn't know that I could have gotten a PhD in dueling as a career path, but you know, that's pretty cool. Can I get a PhD in making Yu-Gi-Oh videos? You know, that'd be pretty cool too. He's not fond of what he sees in the newest batch of applicants wanting to get into the school this year, being overly strict about how even the best of the best performances are judged and nearly not wanting to let Jaden do his duel because of him being late. Luckily, Chancellor Shepard, the headmaster of Duel Academy, calls into Dr. Crowler to make sure that things are going okay and that he isn't doing what he usually does and turning away basically everyone everyone who tries to get into the school. So while complying with his technical boss, Dr. Crowler goes to personally be the one to test Jaden in a duel. However, this isn't going to be done with the special curated testing decks, implying that he is going to use his own personal one that wouldn't be fair to use on any of the applicants. As Jaden then gets called to come down to duel, he congratulates Bastion for winning his duel and saying that he's the second best duelist here, replying to the question of who's the first as he has full confidence in himself, saying he's the best as he proceeds to head down to his duel. Sure, Jaden's definitely cocky about his own dueling abilities, but it feels playful, and his niceties around it all kind of make you instantly believe that he's got that secret sauce that the others don't. Sometimes the arrogance can come off a bit too harsh, like after meeting Dr. Crowler and learning who he is in regards to the school, thinking that he was just some sort of weird-looking mascot and not a high-ranking Academy staff member. You know, Jaden, he's kind of the silly class clown a bit, if you couldn't tell. He's being playful, sure, but still sassy, and we respect him for that. Without wasting any more time, the duel begins, and it's clear that Dr. Crowler has no intentions of going easy or holding back, ready to do whatever it takes to make sure Jaden doesn't win. Jaden starts off by summoning Elemental Hero Avian, and the Elemental Heroes in general play a big role for the cards he uses throughout the series, and the hype around them at the time was insane. Every time we would see more of them, they were so cool, and these line of cards were only the tip of the iceberg for all the other different types of cards that we would see throughout the series. But yeah, the Elemental Heroes were so cool, and I can't wait to mention more of them as we see them. Their fusions, their derivatives, it's so much more. We'll get to it. Then he throws down a face down and says, "Get your game on." Man, this kid's full of catchphrases, huh? Dr. Crowler, like I said, isn't here to play around, mentioning in his internal monologue that he is using his own deck and smirks over how easy this shall be, using the card Confiscation, sacrificing 1,000 life points to see Jaden's hand and picking a card to discard, going with Monster Reborn. Then after he lays some cards face down, he plays Heavy Storm, wiping all spell and trap cards on the field, including the ones he placed down, as he did so on purpose. Those cards were both Statue of the Wicked, which when brought to the graveyard summons each a token monster to the field, wowing all the duelists watching, especially Chaz's goons who make note of this not being an exam deck and go all like, "Chaz, what do you think? Yeah, what do you think, Chaz? We need your answer and your input. Tell us what you think, Chaz."
Don't you think, Chaz?
Chaz?
Chaz? Don't you think?
Chaz?
Don't you think, Chaz?
Chaz?
That guy's pretty good, don't you think, Chaz?
Chaz?
Chaz is just clearly excited to see Jaden lose to a teacher with such a powerful deck, and wishes that this was how all of the other applicants were treated just to keep them from getting into the academy. There is no faith that Jaden has an iota of a chance to beat Dr. Crowler here. Alexis thinks that this is pretty unfair, but Zane tells her that she's too soft, and that he just wants to see this secret legendary rare monster card that Dr. Crowler keeps hidden in his deck, giving us a bit of foreshadowing. You gotta love it. Jaden just seems excited, complimenting the duel, and Dr. Crowler even breaks from his evil attitude to be all like, well, thanks, I am a teacher after all, I appreciate it, thank you, and I kind of love that. But that doesn't mean he's stopping to go easy, and Jaden of course wouldn't want that. He sacrifices the 2 tokens to summon that legendary rare card, which is Ancient Gear Golem, shocking everyone in attendance who's watching. It has 3,000 attack power, and while Jaden is expected to be scared of this, he is the complete opposite, as he has always wanted to take one head on, once again shocking the crowd over his confidence and bravery in the situation. Look, if facing a hard, powerful card in a duel is brave, then like you and I gotta be like really, really brave or something, you know? Might as well give us medals for how brave we are for playing some card games. Ancient Gear Golem goes in for an attack, destroying Elemental Hero Avian, and despite being in defense mode, Ancient Gear Golem has the ability to deal the difference of the attack to the destroyed card's defense points, cutting Jaden's life points in half down to 2,000. When it looks like Jaden is hurt himself and not going to be able to handle this, he ends up laughing, complimenting the strategy and looking forward to learning techniques like that in the academy. With Dr. Crowler visibly angry about this and not wanting to let Jaden win, Jaden just thinks Dr. Crowler is shaking with amazement over being impressed by him. As Jaden is about to draw his next card, he hears Karibo's cry once more before drawing it as his next card. Then it winks at him and he just goes, "Oh hey, yeah, that's whatever. I'll just take that as a sign to play you," rather than, I don't know, freak out over the fact that he's hearing this card talk to him and then literally having it wink at him. But this is Jaden Yuki. He believes in believing intuition. tradition. You know, his own form of Heart of the Cards. So he just goes along with it, not questioning anything. Jaden summons Winged Karibo in defense mode, playing another card face down as Dr. Crowler thinks that this is all nothing. Starting his turn, and by the way, his special dual disc that shoots out the card at him is so cool. I want that. But he has his Ancient Gear Golem go in for an attack on Winged Karibo, destroying it, but its ability saves Jaden from taking any damage from the attack like last time. Jaden then takes a bit of offense from Dr. Crowler calling Winged Karibo lame, saying, "Teach, slow down, what gives you the right to call my cards lame? It's messed up, man." Then Jaden's trap card is activated, revealing to be the card Hero Signal, allowing him to bring out Elemental Hero Burstinatrix. You did what in my cereal? Now, with it being Jaden's turn again, he thanks Winged Karibo as he then uses the spell card, the Warrior Returning Alive, to bring Elemental Hero Avian back from the grave. Dr. Crowler tries to take over the moment to use it as a teaching lesson for those watching to look at what mistakes Jaden is making right here, but Jaden just straight up cuts him off, saying he wasn't done, and oh boy, he really wasn't. He then uses Polymerization, fusing the two elemental heroes together to bring out the one, the only, Elemental Hero Flame Wingman. But despite all of this, it is still a weaker monster than Ancient Gear Golem. Luckily, Jaden has another card that can help, the spell card Skyscraper, changing the landscape of the field to boost Elemental Hero Flame Wingman by 1,000 attack points, bringing it to a total of 3,100 as it is able to then destroy the Ancient Gear Golem. The audience is left in shock, but more importantly, Dr. Crowler is left in shock as he nearly is crying over the fact that his best card was bested. To add insult to injury, Jaden adds on that his Elemental Hero Flame Wingman's ability takes the attack power of the destroyed monster to directly hit Dr. Crowler's life points too, resulting in a full-on win for Jaden. Jaden is just ready for more praise and acceptance into the school, but everyone is still in shock, changing how all the others around view him, with Chaz offering the most emotions yet by not believing that this slacker could have defeated a teacher who was using their own personal strong deck. Alexis is impressed and looks forward to seeing what Jaden does at the academy, while Zane scoffs at the results and walks away. Jaden's newly built friend group seems excited though. Cyrus is jumping up and down cheering for him while Bastion smiles and looks forward to some fun and friendly competition at the school. Before we close the first episode of the series, Jaden pulls out the Winged Karibo card again to speak to it, saying from here on out, they are partners, as the Winged Karibo speaks and winks at him once more. As an introduction to Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, I don't think you could have asked for anything better. You clearly get to meet and understand the personalities and vibes of a solid majority of the main cast of characters. Plus, you get to experience why Jaden is pretty cocky. He's an unsuspecting great duelist who got to steal the show in front of everyone, the school staff and other high-ranking students, as well as his new friends. And you get the whole duel in one episode, not split up or left on a cliffhanger like we'll have throughout this series, or like we've seen in the original series, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just glad they're not using that in the first episode. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX had to come out swinging strong, and it did, with a great first episode filled with nostalgic moments, cool new cards with fun new tactics, and a slew of new interesting characters, all before we even get to the interesting location of a dueling academy. This would all just be the beginning of a massive new adventure that we get to go on alongside Jaden.
Yu-Gi-Oh! GX will continue in a moment.
Everyone is chasing the feeling of a win.
No matter what happens, you are all winners. Tonight is our moment for redemption.
Better not blow it.
Man, this is some rough sketching.
Now it's Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
Finally, we arrive at Duel Academy, with all of the new first-year students who got
This is
accepted
like my
into the
rough
school
process.
entering in style on a helicopter. Now, like in every other school-related show, movie, or story, there are different teams, groups, houses, dorms, etc. that the new students
Thanks for the
get
likes,
sorted
appreciate
into.
that.
Here for the series, there are 3 different
Yeah, I'm trying to
dorms,
get back in my
Slifer
drawing
Red,
flow.
Raw Yellow, and Obelisk Blue. And clearly, with them all
I'm a little
unique,
rusty
except for the
right
Egyptian
now.
God cards. They all get a chance to hear from Chancellor Shepard
We'll get
as they then
back
get
there.
sorted into one of the 3 different dorms. Jaded
Just
and
doing some
Cyrus get to stick
poses.
together as they head to Slifer Red, which Cyrus is excited about mostly because he's already looking at Jaden as this role model character and inspiration for him. Bastion, however, ends up heading to Raw Yellow, which is fine. It's not breaking up the band. He's friends with Jaden and Cyrus, but like, you know, light friends, you know? And he instead is more interested in having competition to be a great duelist with Jaden. But it's all good. I'm sure they'll find another new friend in Slifer Red that fills a bit of that needed trio vibe. Anyway, I do love the color-coded jackets. Slifer Red is the best, and I will not hear anything else, okay? What's not great, though, is the rough condition that the Slifer Red
That
dorm
arm's
is
a little
in, but Jaden's more upbeat
big,
and
but
optimistic
that's okay.
personality looks for the good in it all,
We're here to
enjoying the
fix
nice
that.
view their dorms offer. In their room, they end up meeting a new friendly face, you know, the one I was just foreshadowing, as we get introduced to Chumley Huffington. Yeah, this show is filled with the craziest private school type of names that you've ever heard, but that's neither here nor there. He's not portrayed in the best light when it comes to being smart or hardworking, or even nice sometimes, and he was held back a year, but he does give the exposition we need to understand the differences of the dorms and what they mean for those sorted into them. It works like a tier system, with the best of the best being sorted into Obelisk Blue, which is where we would see people like Chaz, Alexis, and Zane. Then there is the intermediate duelists who have a lot of promise but aren't considered the top students yet, which is where we see people like Bastion, and then all the way at the bottom here is Slifer Red, which, dang, after I just went on a whole thing about it being great. Embarrassing. Slifer Red is reserved for the students deemed to have the least potential in being a great duelist or great student, and you know, Jaden was put there out of pettiness because with his performance in the dueling part of the exam, he clearly is great at that, just maybe not so exceptional at the written exam per his own description of barely passing it. Anyway, what's the first day of school without a little bit of drama though, right? Jaden and Cyrus end up running into Chaz's goons after exploring parts of the campus, with Chaz coming over to talk to Jaden about not being good enough to beat him if they, you know, were to duel. But thanks to Alexis for stepping in to put this feud on pause for a moment, nothing happens for now, as the welcoming dinner is about to happen, and they can't be late for that. Each dorm ends up getting their own dinner, but of course that varies in quality and presentation depending on the dorm. It's like one of those YouTube videos, you know, I tried $1 to $10,000 meals or something. Obelisk Blue eats like the snooty rich kids at a boarding school, while all the way down at the bottom we have the Slifer Red students eating whatever little they could that the teacher personally had to make for them. And speaking of which, we also get to meet them. You know, the headmaster of the Slifer Red dorms, Professor Banner. Not to be confused with the Hulk. Oh, and of course his pet cat, Pharaoh. You know, you can't forget the cat. If you needed a reminder of the time period this series came out, how about the fact that of course they have stylized PDAs that can already do video messaging and FaceTime, but then again, the series always has cool future-like tech. The amount of money invested into dueling technology alone by the likes of Kaiba and Pegasus is on another level. Chaz hits up Jaden, offering a duel with him, where they each wager their best card for the winner to take, and of course, Jaden is all like, heck yeah, sounds fun, while his roommates think he's crazy. Jaden thinks you gotta step up if someone calls you out to a duel, and you know, that kind of logic can be applied to so many other examples that aren't dueling in real life, and that's great, and we love to see that. You can actually learn from this show. So now Jaden ends up getting into a duel with Chaz, who is amped up to really see if Jaden's previous duel was the real deal or just a fluke. Jaden starts off with an insane hand, by the way. Aside from teasing some other elemental hero cards and speaking to Winged Karibo again, he immediately puts together his Flame Wingman. Chaz was ready with the trap, predicting he would go for this combination. As his trap card lets him sacrifice his monster, he then gains control of Flame Wingman, leaving Jaden not sure what to do yet aside from pulling out elemental hero Clayman in defense mode. This lets Chaz get the upper hand, and through his turn, gets Jaden's life points cut in half. While he proceeds to constantly call him slacker and thinks that he's crying, Jaden is once again laughing, saying that he loves this, and this is why he wanted to be here. He lives for this trash talking and loves a good, fun, tough duel. He then brings out his next elemental hero, that being Sparkman. Jaden takes down Chaz's Chthonian soldier to leave him with some damage gone from his life points, but the card's effect also deals that same damage to Jaden. But with Flame Wingman still in Chaz's control, things don't look so great here. He plays a face-down card waiting for Chaz to then make a move and attack, allowing Jaden's trap card Mirror Gate to be activated. This effectively swaps the monsters on the field to the other player's control, giving Jaden back his Flame Wingman, while Chaz gets Sparkman, resulting in Flame Wingman defeating Sparkman and hurting Chaz's life points severely. Chaz isn't too happy about this, now using the spell card Chthonian Blast to destroy Flame Wingman and take the value of half of the attack points away from Jaden's life points, leaving him with the low amount of only 550 left. From here, Chaz uses Call of the Haunted to bring back his previous monster, only to sacrifice it so he can bring out Mephisto the Infernal General, who has 1800 attack points while Jaden is left wide open to an attack. Jaden, however, is ready to summon his Winged Karibo when Chaz thinks Jaden has nothing left to offer in the duel to try and win. However, during all of this, Alexis came in to watch the duel, and by this point notices that security is coming around to do their checks because, you know, sneaking out of the dorms and dueling after hours like this isn't allowed, and everyone here could get in big trouble. Chaz is more worried about getting in trouble for this than winning the duel, stopping it as they all need to leave. He still tells Jaden that that he saw all that he needed, thinking that he's still a bad duelist who got lucky. Although Jaden probably would have won that duel. He had that monster reborn that he just drew, and you know that he could have brought back that flame wingman, and it doesn't matter. They all have to leave so as to not get in trouble. He fills Alexis in on this after they get out of there, as she understands completely that Jaden is no joke of a duelist, and maybe there is something to his cockiness that isn't just fluff. He might just legitimately be a pretty great duelist who knows what he's doing. But that's all just day one of Duelist Academy, and what a long day it's been. You know, after a long day of dueling, nothing helps keep me focused and keep me energized like some good old gamer subs. You think I have the stamina to deal with both school and dueling all combined into one thing? Get real! Real deals, that is, as you can head to the link down below or use my code FRINGE to save 10% off your order at Gamersubs. Not just one time, but any time you make a purchase. So get your game on by getting your subs on. And remember, code FRINGE at checkout. And thanks for all the support, as supporting Gamersubs directly helps support the channel. And now, back to some dueling. As school continues on, we see how the top students are treated and respected, and how the most likely to drop out students are looked down upon, specifically from a teacher like Dr. Crowler, who spends time picking on Cyrus for not having the correct answers in class, leaving him to feel embarrassed. But Jaden steps up to defend him, poking fun at Dr. Crowler for still losing to him the other day. Now, from what we've already seen, Dr. Crowler has that quick to anger and retaliate attitude to where he'll risk his professional academic standing just to mess with some kids. He does so by creating a fake love note from Alexis to Jaden, but ends up putting the note in Cyrus's locker, leading Cyrus to find it and believe that Alexis likes him. Classic school drama stuff, and you know, Dr. Crowler doing this makes it all weirder. But the note said to meet Alexis at midnight outside of the girls' dorm, and you can see where this was all going and how Dr. Crowler wanted to get Jaden in trouble. So his creepy rare hunter-looking self hides in order to capture the moment, making him even weirder for being outside of the place the girls are currently bathing in, but whatever. While Alexis inside is with some other students discussing some of the boys, it's clear that she does lean a bit into thinking about Jaden, but there isn't a massive interest in talking about it or exploring that, at least not at the moment. Cyrus does end up showing up, much to Dr. Crowler's disappointment, but even worse, the girls catch him outside and then proceed to hold them captive. While Cyrus quickly reveals the letter as to why he's here in the first place, it only slightly clears things up a bit, and at least he's not seen as a creep, and Alexis knows that someone set poor little Cyrus up. But Alexis isn't just moving on from this, as she has a little bit of a plan of her own. First, she ends up baiting Jaden to come out and duel her by sending a message stating that he needs to come there now if he wants to see Cyrus again, and then proceeds to challenge Jaden to a duel, with the extra bit of challenge of the duel being all based around if she is going to tell the Chancellor or not about this little situation going on here. Jaden is a W-mans who is going to accept the challenge and fight for Cyrus, though. And this duel gives us a chance to see how good of a duelist Alexis truly is and what type of cards she uses, with Cyber Blader being her strong fusion card, keeping Jaden on the ropes. But in the end, Jaden's fusion of Elemental Hero Clayman and Sparkman, who is Elemental Hero Thunder Giant, is able to best Alexis and win Jaden the duel. With the boys free to go without being reported, Alexis definitely thinks highly of Jaden, nearly getting flustered a small bit after Jaden tells her she's got game. And she never really planned on turning them in. She thinks this place is way more interesting with them here. As our time at the academy moves on, it's time to test how well the students are doing and possibly see if they are worthy of getting promoted to the next dorm up. In the background of everything surrounding this, the academy was getting in a huge shipment of cards, but Dr. Crowler went and bought basically all of them so that he can give all the great ones to Chaz, as he wanted to be the puppet master of setting Jaden up for failure, stuffing Chaz's deck with powerful new cards and making sure that they face off against one another in the testing duel. And you really can't help but just very strongly dislike Dr. Crowler. If only there was a stronger word to describe how you are made to feel about him. Ugh, don't you just hate when you can't think of a certain word? Whew. Anyway, before any of the exams, Jaden ended up helping this older lady with her broken down van, to which she won't forget his help for doing so. Later, when Jaden and Cyrus get a chance to head to the card shop, they realize nearly all of the cards are gone aside from this standard pack of cards, and I just love the voice of the person at this card shop here. Of course we have some left. It's so good. You can't help but love all of the voices in this series, and if you don't, I'm truly sorry, but this is too fun. Here's where that older lady from earlier comes in, as she's the owner of the card shop, remembering Jaden for his help earlier and giving him a special few cards for his deck. So now when it comes to the duels, Chaz and Jaden get to face off against one another again, and they both have a few new things under their sleeves. Chaz ends up getting together X-Head Cannon, Y Dragon Head, and Z Metal Tank to bring out one of my favorite cards, XYZ Dragon Cannon, and then on top of that, add in the newer support at the time of V Tiger Jet and W Wing Catapult to now have VWXYZ Dragon Catapult Cannon. Whew, dang, that one's a mouthful. Why does Yu-Gi-Oh do this, man? Luckily, Jaden gets to win over the crowd, and by that I mean all of the girls, because he summons his Winged Karibo. But he also sets up his new strategy, playing a card face down and waiting for Chaz to make his next move. As Chaz goes in with an attack, Jaden activates his face down card, Transcendent Wings, turning Winged Karibo into, yep, you guessed it, my boy Winged Karibo level 10. Then by sacrificing itself, it can destroy Chaz's VWXYZ LMFAO Dragon Catapult Cannon and inflict its attack damage to his life points directly, bringing Chaz down to 1,000 life points, giving Jaden the perfect opening to have his elemental hero Avion come out and attack directly, taking the remaining 1,000 life points to defeat Chaz and win the duel. The crowd goes wild from this, and Jaden always keeps it open to another future duel between the two, and Chaz Princeton here, well, he will not be made a fool of, and he says they most certainly will duel again. Can I also say that in this episode, it's funny to see that there are clearly other students dueling on other fields right next to Jaden and Chaz, yet they have no monsters fighting each other, and the audience is really only watching and caring about the Jaden and Chaz duel anyway, you know, I'm just saying. Anyway, it pays to be a good person. Jaden took time to help someone in need out of pure kindness, and that karma came right back around to him. In the end of all of this, the Chancellor tells Jaden that no Slifer Red has faced an Obelisk Blue in these exams, and let alone offered a performance quite like that to win, as he is then offered the chance to be promoted from Slifer Red to Raw Yellow, which Cyrus was worried about happening as he didn't want to be separated from Jaden. But as a true friend, he is just happy for Jaden, congratulating him on his growth in the academy. Bastion is excited for Jaden too, becoming more friendlier than ever and welcoming him into Raw Yellow.
Yeah, we're
then
just
Jaden
do some
surprises
quick
Cyrus back at their
sketches.
dorm saying he's not going anywhere, as despite it being nice over at the Raw Yellow dorm, Cyrus isn't there, and that makes all the difference. A nice wholesome ending and a way to keep Jaden with his good old pal. Oh, and I guess Chumlee is still there too, you know, but whatever. I hope you didn't forget that this is still Yu-Gi-Oh! And it was only a matter of time before some sort of shadow game related plot point came into play. We ominously enter into a spookier episode with Alexis placing a rose at a mysterious site as she internally says, "Be at peace, brother, wherever you are," which definitely adds some layers to her character and some potential storylines to happen here. As we then see the Slifer Red boys having a fun time playing a game where they tell ghost stories of varying degrees of fright depending on the level of card they draw. Jaden ends up telling a story about him hearing voices in his closet when he was younger, only to ever find his cards in there, and then once again seemingly hearing voices from his cards now, with that being his Winged Karibo. Again, setting up more interesting plot points, and also scary Dark Magician cameo, and we appreciate that. But also, why is little Jaden's closet like a whole nother room? That's ridiculous. After these stories being shared, we get Professor Banner coming in to join in on the fun, and definitely make us feel more oddly suspicious about him with the knowledge he's about to give us. Another plot line? Maybe. He comes in and talks about an abandoned dorm on the island, and it was officially shut down once students started going missing, relating it all back to the use of Millennium items in dangerous shadow games. Of course, after hearing this, the boys are planning on sneaking out over to it, with Dr. Crowler hearing about this because he's creepily listening from outside their window for whatever reason, and now he can really get Jaden expelled from the school if he can catch him doing so, or just scare him away from it enough. We then cut to a mysterious masked duelist somewhere in a city defeating another duelist and claiming his soul for the Shadow Realm, with what kind of looked like the Millennium Puzzle, and that's weird, but let's forget about that now, because he then receives a call about coming to Duel Academy, and he's probably not going to be going there to be a guest speaker at an assembly or something. Obviously, this is the work of Dr. Crowler calling this shady dude, and it's crazy how evil he is towards Jaden. Like, he beat you in a duel, you're a teacher who wants the best of the best duelists here, isn't this a good thing? Don't you want him to be good? Either way, Dr. Crowler just wants to use this.
Yeah, we're just figure drawing here. We'll be right
Jaden,
back.
it seems
Just
like
one moment,
Titan
guys.
would be leaving the duel with deadly consequences of the Shadow Realm at play, or so it seems. Maybe Dr. Crowler isn't as evil as we think, because the end result that he wants from all of this is for Jaden to just leave the academy, not, you know, die. Get sent to the Shadow Realm. Now, later on, the Slifer Red boys are sneaking out to the abandoned dorm as they end up running into Alexis, with them both questioning their reasons for being there. Putting two and two together as the audience, you can clearly understand that Alexis is there because her her brother is one of the missing students from the shadow game related duels that took place there. As she explains that the rumors of the dorm are true to Jaden and the others, Jaden wants to go inside of the building, naturally. So while they do go inside after being warned by Alexis, she ends up getting captured by the shadow duelist, only to be presented in a dire situation once Jaden and company make their way through the dorms, seeing Egyptian hieroglyphics, and a picture of a student that we can only assume is Alexis's lost brother, and eventually finding Alexis's card to bring them deeper into an underground mine, where here Titan emerges in front of them, saying Alexis is already in the shadow realm and challenges Jaden to a shadow game, to which Jaden doesn't fully believe in, only thinking it is a myth used to scare others. So, you know, Jaden goes all, "Get your game on," and dives head first into the duel, not caring about if the consequences are even real or not. Titan's deck is built on Archfiend cards, which Jaden is just kind of fascinated by more so than worried about. On the surface here, the game does look deadly. Alexis's fate is left up in the air, and Jaden, well, Chumley kind of annoyingly internally monologues at best, saying Jaden came here to save Alexis, and now he might not even be able to save himself, with the episode coming to an end after that, leaving Jaden in a really rough spot in the duel that doesn't look too good, and giving us our first multi-part episode of the series.
Yu-Gi-Oh! GX will return in a moment.
Get your dream mattress starting at just $30 a month for 24 months. Your best night's sleep is now more affordable than ever. Visit your local Ashley store or shop ashley.ca today and start sleeping better tonight.
Yu-Gi-Oh! GX now continues.
As we re-enter into this two-parter, things aren't looking great for Jaden. He's missing parts of his body, that can't be too great, but Jaden pushes through this as much as he can. Throughout the duel though, we can see how Titan is clearly up to something with how he's using the Millennium Puzzle to cause the effects we see. Jaden is becoming more disoriented, he's not even sure what's going on, why he can't truly see at one point and can't hold himself up anymore. Titan alluded in his internal monologue that Jaden has no clue what trickery is really going on. But before things become even worse, Winged Karibo starts speaking to him within his mind, guiding him as a light through the darkness to make him realize that Titan is just messing with his mind, and that this isn't really a game of shadows. Jaden then launches his Elemental Hero Avion card into the Millennium Puzzle, stabbing right into it to prove that it's a fake, thus breaking through the hypnosis and smoke show Titan was putting on to make everyone believe that it was real. Jaden goes full on Ace Attorney here, calling an objection to everything Titan is claiming, like Jaden realizing that from the hieroglyphs in the other room that it would be called the Millennium Puzzle, and not
Sorry about
the
that. I am
Millennium
back.
Pendant,
Just had to
as
get a
he's been
drink.
saying. He also calls
And
out
help.
what his old exact profession
Okay, we're
was as
back.
a sideshow
Are we do some more
that he
sketching?
was let go from,
Can we do
with
one more
everything disproved
sketch
about it all being real.
for
Jaden
warming
demands he gives
practice?
Alexis and all of the other students that he made disappear back, but he claims, however, to not know anything about those other kids.
Alright.
That may have been a bit of honesty there. We'll follow up on
Okay,
that at some point,
we're
I'm
back.
sure. But then out of nowhere, they all get
We'll do
trapped
one
in
more.
what might be a real shadow game situation, with Titan getting engulfed by monsters and begging Jaden to save him. Winged Karibo then pops out in the flesh, literally pulling
I know what I wanna
himself
start
out
doing.
of the dual disc in the cutest way possible, and now Jaden's feeling like something actually might be weird around here. Or maybe not. Some entity then fully takes over Titan, confronting Jaden about the shadows demanding a soul and the duel must continue. But Jaden is still treating it all like a big elaborate trick and doesn't believe any of it. But you and I know what's actually going on here. This is real now, and
produce more
Jaden, he
poses.
just doesn't get it. We do get to meet Elemental Hero Bubble Man though, and that's pretty cool.
Do
Takes
one
a
more
bit of the
pose.
tension away. You know, bubbles aren't scary unless you're the dirty bubble from SpongeBob. Ugh, filthy. He's not around for long though, because Jaden gets the chance to summon a more powerful hero, Elemental Hero Blade Edge, using him to win the duel, with the Shadow Realm now claiming Titan's soul, as Jaden still is ignorant to it all being real. Winged Karibo shows him a way out, and then the Shadow
We'll do
Realm
a fun
disappears.
sketch.
The others think that it could be real, but Jaden is like, nah
You
guys,
can guess who
it's
this
all a
is.
trick. It's a good one, but it's not real. Alexis is all good too, and Jaden gives her the photo of her brother that they found on the wall,
I
and
need to
acts like
find
this is
my
some sort of
glove.
example that there's a trace of
Because
it
right
out
now
there,
my
when it
hand
clearly
is
was
like
just a
sticking to the
photo of him
glass.
hanging on the wall
It's
in
not
that dorm,
sliding as
you know,
smoothly.
like a photo probably would. But
I hope
regardless,
that I just
Jaden
wash
wants
my
to help
hands and they're
Alexis
wet.
going forward to help figure
Okay.
out what happened to her brother and hopefully find him. Alexis
is gonna be a
is
fun
grateful
one.
for
This
all
is
of
gonna
this
be
and is more hopeful than ever
guess-
that she
guess
could
the
figure out
character.
the mysteries around her brother's disappearance finally. But there's a lot of mysteries here that we need to figure out. Like, why did the real Shadow Realm make an appearance, and who is actually behind the other students going missing? Only time will tell. So we know that Dr. Crowler's plans didn't work, so he pivoted to telling the Chancellor about the students involved and causing some issues and sneaking into the abandoned dorm, leading to the disciplinary action squad to round up Jaden and
one of my
Cyrus,
favorites.
but not Chumley, and bring them to Chancellor Shepard,
Guess
where
the
they both
character.
end up getting suspended. Through trying to plead their cases of what happened, Dr. Crowler suggests a wager, a special tag duel that would pit Jaden and Cyrus against two students that he gets to pick. If they win, they are let off the hook and free to go, but if they lose,
This
they would
rough
be expelled.
sketching.
Harsher consequences, most certainly, but there is a chance at full-on freedom from it all, so a tag team duel it will be. I mean, how else are they going to sell a Tag Force video game series? Hello? Alexis and Chumley end up stepping in to try and
man,
help the
Tag Force has
situation,
been my
offering
favorite
either of
video
them
game
to help
series for
Jaden in a
Yu-Gi-Oh!
duel instead of Cyrus.
Now
which,
it's Master
ouch, you know,
Duels,
like, I
'cause
get
it's
it, but still, ouch.
always
And if we
it's online,
rewind
it's
to the opening
updated.
scene of the episode, we see
Guys do
Alexis
play
talking
from
to
time to
Zane about
time.
how he feels about his brother being here, and he's not too happy about it, saying he shouldn't be here. Poor Cyrus, he just can't catch a break. And I get why he is here, as he's determined to be a better duelist. But he needs to still get to that point where he needs to care about that by believing in himself. His things are about to get a little shaky. The rules, however, for the duel were already set and cannot be changed. No one's gonna be replacing Cyrus, he will be forced to duel, even if he would rather have someone step in, as he is worried about holding Jaden back and getting them both expelled. But Jaden believes in him and wants to help him however he can, and tells Cyrus to get his deck
It's so
because
messed
Jaden and
up,
him are
but I
going to
love
have a
it.
bit of a practice duel to start figuring things out. Little did anyone know that we were going to get a bit of a therapy session here because of this duel. Things start spiraling a bit as the duel gets going after Cyrus makes a mistake in not using his creature's special ability, making him feel a bit stupid and that he doesn't belong here, as Jaden tries to calmly teach him that it's okay to make mistakes and it's not that big of a deal, and that he legit is here to help him learn just like a teacher at school would, or should. Dr. Crowler ain't teaching him anything. In fact, he'll
Yeah,
just
Dr.
bully
Crowler's a
Cyrus because
hater.
he likes to. Jaden encourages
But
Cyrus
I'm not
to
gonna
get his
ruin
head
it
in the
for those who
game
haven't
Bolton
watched Yu-Gi-Oh!
style, and
GX.
wants them both to act like real opponents here, and wanting to let Cyrus figure things out and not come off as making him feel helpless. The others watching are telling Cyrus to believe in himself and that he can't give up,
That's the
giving him
character.
all the energy needed to face Jaden properly. Heck, he even then plays Pot of Greed. Ooh, I wonder what that card does. Sadly, this
Pot of
newfound
Greed.
confidence ends up
I play
crumbling
Pot of
after he
Greed.
pulls the card Power Bond, bringing us into a flashback that shows us the relationship he has with his brother. In this flashback, we see Cyrus getting into a duel with his school bully after finally standing up to him. But before he can play Power Bond, his
Can you
older
guess
brother
this
Zane tells him to
Pokemon?
stop, as he then walks over to the bully and offers him a rare card in exchange for him to walk away and act like this battle never happened. Cyrus was
Mimikyu.
confused and mad, thinking that he was going to win here with Power
I think that's
Bomb,
one of the
and even
coolest
mentions that
Pokemon.
Zane was the one who
And
gave
it's
him the
grudge
card in the
against
first place. Zane
Pikachu.
claimed that Cyrus
That's
was about to
hilarious.
misuse it, showing that the face-down card his bully had was Spellbinding Circle, and his really powerful monster would have been trapped from
Let's
doing
get showing
anything,
that up
and
a
thus
little
the
bit.
effects of the card and being open for an attack beyond that would have cost him the duel and he would have lost. Zane seems to be coming from a logical side of things, breaking down what he did wrong but not offering the right encouragement to be better for himself so that Cyrus could properly understand everything. Instead, here we are years later and Cyrus is freezing up over holding the card in his hand, avoiding using it. As the battle rages on,
I'm just gonna
Jaden
throw
picks
some
up the
color
heat
on
with
there.
Elemental Hero
Why
Thunder
not?
Giant and Elemental Hero Brasinatrix to win
Just
the
to end the
overall
stream.
duel. Jaden is really proud of Cyrus and his strategies, but questioned what he hesitated on playing. He sees that it was Power Bond and realizes that Cyrus could have actually won potentially if he used it right there. Cyrus says his brother claims that he's not good enough to use it, having a bit of panic, saying that he'll never win the duel with him as a partner, running away in sadness and some PTSD lingering from that card. Alexis and Jaden talk about what Cyrus
is
is
that
going
not
through
going
as
to my
Jaden tells
heart?
Alexis
Oh,
about
okay,
Cyrus
that's
freezing
why.
and not reaching his full potential over his brother, telling him he isn't good enough to use a certain card or understand certain strategies, with Alexis then telling Jaden that his brother Zane goes to Duel Academy, and in fact is the top-ranked duelist here. So things feel like that 2002 Avril Lavigne song. Skater Boy. But Jaden wants to duel Zane to figure things out, especially if it's causing his partner in this upcoming important duel to have all this self-doubt. Alexis wishes him the best and admires his confidence, telling him to go and get him. Aw, she does believe in him. Cute. Also, seeing Cyrus's Roid deck brings me back. I used to have the Cyrus starter deck. Oh, I still have the packaging for it apparently. Look at that. Oh, actually, don't look at that. Bit of a jacket-related spoiler there. Whoopsie. Anyway, moving on. You know what might be harder to do than dueling Zane? Just trying to get the chance to do so. Jaden Jaden faces pushback and blockades in every direction from teachers like Dr. Crowler, who is, well, you already know, and later from the Obelisk Blue dorm students, who let him know to his face that Zane would never waste his time with a Slifer Red student. In the meantime, Cyrus isn't doing so well, overthinking all of the ways that he could have used Power Bond to win, and how he doesn't believe in himself, thinking that he's just going to get Jaden expelled, ultimately running away and trying to leave the school, as then Jaden and Chum-Li find a note left for them explaining his dramatic decision. Everyone's problems here start intersecting with one another as Jaden ends up being able to find Cyrus thanks to Winged Karibo guiding him, because that's happening more and more now as a thing, and he was trying to make a raft to paddle away from the island, and at the same time, Alexis finds Zane, who is standing on the water support beams for a bridge, staring off into the sunset to Aura Farm a bit, as they talk about brother-related issues. You know, she can't find hers, and he's not really being a great brother to his, yada yada, rada rada. But they end up seeing Cyrus trying to leave the island as Jaden is now arriving to stop him, destroying his raft, on accident technically, as he then pulls him from the water to save him from drowning, in 1 foot deep water. Zane comes over to make Cyrus feel even worse about everything, but Jaden is already pushing back on Cyrus's behalf, challenging Zane to a duel to which he surprisingly accepts, claiming it to be slumming as to degrade the likes of anyone in Slifer Red. The duel ends up getting intense pretty fast as we get a cool look into what was basically the next generation of Blue Eyes White Dragon, with that being the Cyber Dragon line of cards that Zane uses. We get some new Elemental Hero fusion options as Jaden ends up having Bubble Man and Clayman come together to form Elemental Hero Mudball Man, and despite putting up the best fight that he could, Zane is able to show why he's considered the best duelist in the school. Similar to Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Zane brings out Cyber End Dragon after playing Power Bond, taking
I think we're end right there. We did a few little sketches, and we did a mini cute, which was pretty fun to draw, just to switch it up. Just little warm-up drawing sketches to get back into the drawing mood. We're gonna do some more personal studies. I think I might post those studies, more like figure drawing studies. I'm gonna get back into it. Yeah, I'm Giovanni Hall Art, and you can follow me on Instagram, Blue Sky, Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and Patreon for more good stuff. I like to draw and play video games, and we're just doing some figure drawing. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Bye!